Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar Compliance Mistakes That Can Cost Real Estate and Jewelry Businesses. First of all, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. With over 42 million AD in fines issued to more than 1,000 GNFBPs in the UAE this year, understanding AML requirements is absolutely critical. So that's why today we are here to help you to stay compliant, stay penalty free, and stay ahead. Today, we are joined by Krishna Nair, AML Advisory Manager at Financials, and of course, Muhammed Shafeekh, Founder and CEO of Financials. They'll walk us through the most common AML mistakes businesses make, especially in real estate and jewelry, and how we can avoid them with simple and practical steps. Please feel free to drop your questions in the chat. We will cover them at the end. So over to you, Shafeekh. Let's get started.
Thank you, Manali, for a warm introduction. Thank you, everyone joining this call today. I think we are at a very critical intersection where UAE has been out of grey list since 2020-24. So there is a strict compliance checks in place to prevent money laundering cases in UAE, where economy wanted to be more mature, and it's a very growing economy. So the country wanted to be more mature in terms of transactions, and economy is getting stabilized. So there will be a stricter compliances towards anti-money laundering, and this majorly gets affected real estate businesses, CSPs, and somebody who deals on precious metals. So just wanted to have a quick awareness session today. That's why we are having Krishna, one of our experts, joining the call today to explain if anyone is doing in this business category, it's important to have some a top level awareness of the overall compliances that is required. So at least you will have an understanding what needs to be done, and not to miss out any compliances. So last year and this year, government has been actively looking at this compliance failures in UAE. A couple of majorly they were calling precious metals, somebody who has jewelry, somebody who has gold and diamond business, somebody who has manufacturing setup in that business. And also they were heavily looking into real estate businesses, looking at their transactions. So it went from they pick companies on random basis. So there's no like specific criteria, X number of companies are picked. They pick on random basis, call for inspection, and when you get a notice for inspection, then you have to make sure you are fully compliant. If it's not compliant, fines are very heavy, and then you get into all the nuances. So very, very important for all these companies to be compliant. Last year alone, there was 1,000 cases of non-violence as found, and almost 42 million has been fined. So fines are very nasty if there's government is very, very serious about this. And a couple of our customers got call from government, and also a couple of people came to us after getting a call from government, after getting a notice, and they eventually drill. Right, when they drill, they look who can solve this. So those cases we have identified. That's why we thought today to have at least a webinar for public whoever is in this industry will be great to join and build just a bit awareness session how they can be better complied in UAE. I think if you can just move to the next slide on it. So majorly, if government calling Ministry of Economy is calling you to have checks and balances, if they fine you, one major problem that can happen is because then your reputation is gone, right? If you get any fine, majorly customers find risky to deal with you, or partners or banks find very risky to deal with you, because if you are already under the radar of AML. Second, very important legal risks are there related to this, where are cases they have fined heavily. Minimum 50,000 dirhams is the fine to it can go up to 5 million. I think that's what the latest update. of the fine, which can have a black swan event for a lot of the small companies, which actually they can kill because they can't afford that level of fine, can up to going into filing criminal cases or suspending the licenses. These cases have been already there, and banks lending or banks associating with will be, or any financial institution will be associating with will be a larger risk for this set of companies. So it's majorly very important that companies look at it very seriously, and also to be complied in UAE. So I will leave Krishna to speak more on the technical nuances of AML compliances, and take it up. Leave here, Krishna, to take over. Thank you.
Thank you, Shafeekh, for your insight. Before we go deeper into the compliance framework, it is very important to understand who this applies to. AML applies to. Now, there are certain sectors that is coined as designated non-financial business and profession, and it was coined by the FATF, which is the Financial Action Task Force. And UAE has adopted this particular term, and they have added few sectors into this category. Now, the first one is real estate agent and brokerage. Then we have dealers in precious metals and stones. Then accountant, auditors, then lawyers, notaries, and other legal professionals. Then there are trust and corporate service providers. Now, why are these sectors considered as DNFPPs? Because the first two sectors, that is the real estate agents and brokerage and the dealers in precious metals, they deal with high value products. Whereas the other three sectors are like a person where they will, enhance these particular transactions, or like a team that will, enforce this real estate agents and dealers in precious metals to do all these transactions. Okay, so the beginning of the quarter, that is 2025 quarter, it was reported that DPMS traders recorded around like 473 violations, which resulted in over 20 million fines. And whereas in real estate, there were 495 violations, which approximately led up to 18.5 million. And even CSP led to 4 million. So when regulators look at DNFPPs, they're looking at businesses that can be misused intentionally or unintentionally. So that is why DNFPPs are now considered under strict monitoring. So more frequent inspections can happen. So for the past 2-3 years, there has been inspections. There has been like strict monitoring going on. Can we take the next slide? Yeah. AML regulatory update. So now let us look at about one of the most important changes that is affecting every DNFPP in UAE today. That is the new regulatory update. So a new federal decree number 10 of 2015 has taken place. Now, the earlier decree law number 20 of 2018 has been repealed and replaced the entire. And there are few, which is relevant to DNFPPs that we have mentioned here. The first one is penalties. Now, penalties are reaching up to 100 million. For per penalty, per violation, it can go up to 15 million also. So the government has now the power to freeze assets up to 30 working days without any prior notice. So, for example, let's say one of the entity is in inspection for any criminal charges or any money laundering activity, they can freeze the asset of that particular entity up to 30 days. Now, one of the biggest changes is that crimes can be prosecuted regardless when they occurred. So there's no statutory limitation for any such violations. Now, what does this mean for a DNFPP? So AML compliance is no longer something you can set once and forget. So everything has to be maintained very regularly. So now let us look into the common AML gaps SMEs overlook. So the common gaps you see is that with respect to absence of AML policy, controls, and procedures. So many SMEs fail to establish formalized AML policies. So policy is like an internal document. It's a comprehensive document wherein everything is mentioned in detail with respect what needs to be done with respect to AML. That is like screening your clients. Now, what should be done if you find, one of your client turned out to be suspect in terrorist financing or in sanction list, etc. Now, without a compliance officer, we will not be able to formulate a policy. A compliance officer or a compliance team is very much important in this particular section, as in because they formulate the policy, they ensure that all the compliances are in place in a firm, etc. Now, failure to collect KYC, KYB from clients are essential fines to verify the identities of your clients and understand the source of their fund. So many firms fail to properly collect and store this information, leaving their businesses exposed to illicit activities. Then comes weak or absent CDD, EDD procedures. So customer due diligence is one crucial for assessing a client's risk level. It will majorly help you understanding the clients. For example, let's say one client comes for purchasing a property. Now you have to understand why the client is purchasing this property. With what source of fund is he purchasing this particular property? Does he have the capacity to purchase so? So that is how CDD works. It will help in understanding the clients better. And for certain clients which fall under the high risk category, EDD is being applied. For example, a politically exposed person. Politically exposed person can be one person who is into working in high government officials, etc. Then failure to train employees to identify red flags. So it is very important to train your employees because they have to identify the red flags in certain transaction that happens. For example, let's talk about a client who's coming to purchase a 10 million property. Now the client has mentioned that, I can buy a property worth 10 million, but my salary is around like 5,000 dirhams per month. Now we have to understand how can he purchase a property worth 10 million if he doesn't have that amount of source of fund, right? So we have to gather or we have to make your employees understand these are red flags in that particular transaction and we have to train them accordingly. So every quarter, the financial intelligence unit, they set out quarterly reports wherein these red flags are clearly mentioned. Now, without reporting, so no STR or SAR, rare reporting, if it does not happen, it means that we are not clearly complying to the regulations. For example, there can be transactions that happen using cash or virtual assets like cryptocurrencies, right? All these transactions has to be reported on time. So those are like rare or DPMSR. For real estate, it is rare, and for dealers in precious metals, that is the jewelries, it is DPMSR. And let's say there are certain suspicions with respect to certain transactions or activities that is being conducted by the client, then we report a SCR or STR. Can we go to the next slide? Non-compliance and its impacts. Now let us look into the risks that comes with non-compliance. So many businesses fail to fully understand the severe consequences of not adhering to AML regulations. So here are the key impacts which we have mentioned here. One is denial or restriction of license renewal. So license renewal is directly tied to compliance with regulatory standards that is including AML requirements. So if you're not fully compliant, you may face delay in getting your license renewed. For example, the free zones and the EDs are connected with the Ministry of Economy in doing so. So it is very important that you comply with all the regulations. Then comes suspension of trade license. Now, for example, if you are not registered for AML registration, then your license can get suspended within 30 days. Technically, when a client or any person takes up a trade license, within 30 days, they have to register for Go AML. But right now, it is not being penalized. Moving forward, it can get penalized anytime. The third one is significant financial penalties. Non-compliance can result in massive fines that can range from tens of thousands to millions of dirhams. Right now, the regulatory changes have happened, so it can go up to 100 million for non-compliance. For example, if you fail to report a suspicious transaction or you don't have a required AML KYC system in place, the Ministry of Economy will put some hefty fines for all these non-compliances. Then comes criminal liability. It is one of the most serious consequences of non-compliance. So if you are complicit in money laundering or terrorist financing, you can face a jail term that can go up to 10 years as well. Then comes reputational damage. That is one of the hardest impact to recover from because once you are into AML fines or AML criminal procedures, then there will be a reputational damage. Clients will not work with you. The government will not trust you. There will be loss of business operations as well. Can we go to the next slide? Yeah. So here it is a robust AML framework which we have mentioned. It's a step-by-step process. There is 12 steps in it. So the first and foremost is to appoint a compliance officer. So a compliance officer is the key role responsible for overseeing all the AML monitoring, then operations, compliance efforts, and reporting. So there has to be a dedicated team or a person to do so. There are a lot of people or a lot of companies which will not be able to afford a compliance officer as it can get expensive. So it is always better to have an external team to do so, which can also ensure that they will be able to take care of all these things. Then comes entity-wide risk assessment, that is, assess all the risk factors associated with the business. So you have to perform a comprehensive risk assessment across your entire business. So this will include in assessing your clients, geography, then products and services that you do, the transaction method, etc. So it will help you understand the business in general. So there are certain inherent risk factors allocated to each business. So we will understand all those inherent factors and we will apply certain measures to it and ensure that there are residual risks. For example, let's say now the one of a firm is having, there is certain factors which turn out to be high. Now we will apply certain measures and ensure that there is only medium risk in conducting those businesses. Then comes developing a comprehensive policy, controls, and procedures. So we have to establish a formal policy that includes clearly defined internal controls, such as how to monitor transaction, how to identify suspicious activities, then how to report findings, then how to understand your clients, etc. It's a comprehensive document. Okay. Then comes employee training. So we have to clearly train your employees to make them understand how to identify these red flags. Ultimately, they are the ones who are onboarding any client, right? Post which we have to ensure that we have a screening software. A screening software will help you how to monitor all those clients. For example, let's say when you onboard a client, you screen that particular client. For example, my name is Krishna, right? So if I enter my name in the screening software, there might be hundreds and thousands of hits with respect to that particular name. There can be certain sanctions, there can be certain terrorist activity with respect to that person, or there can be PEP or adverse media with respect to that particular person. So we have to ensure that we onboard our screening software. Manually, we will not be able to control the same. Then comes collecting KYC and client screening. So know your KYC is a foundational to AML compliance. So verify your client's identity using this software. Then we have to assess the risk associated with this particular clients, and we have to provide some ratings and categorization to these clients. So the categorization can be low, medium, or high risk. Now, for certain clients who belong into the high risk category, EDD measures are applied. And step Nine is like reporting. So as we had mentioned before, for certain transactions that is related to cash, we will submit a RARE or DPMSR that is related to those sectors. Then comes record keeping. Record keeping has to be done for a minimum of 5 years. Then comes independent audit function. So independent audit function has to be done like every year to understand whether the AML framework we have implemented is right or not. So if there is certain gaps that is being analyzed in this particular audit, we have to ensure that it is being implemented. Can we go to the next step? Now, this is a solution that we currently provide. We have categorized into 4 sections. So we have the initial setup, monthly services, annual services, and ongoing services. Can we go to the next? Now let us focus on this particular case study. We had a client who had come in like on the last moment. They got a mail from one of the Ministry of Economy person, and initially they did not understand that they had a meeting with them. They thought that it was just a regular message from some scammers. So then they had come to us for another meeting, and then we figured out that they had certain inspection which is going to take place the next day, and they attended the meeting. Okay, so they attended the meeting. The Ministry of Economy person understood that there's nothing with respect to AML that is being implemented in the firm, and they got a fine of 450,000, and their trade license was suspended. Now, after analyzing the entire situation, we understood that there are multiple violations that has been done by the client. The first one is to failure to register with GoAML. He did not register. Then he did not subscribe to EUCN. Then he did not appoint a compliance officer, or there was no compliance team. There was no for policy framework. He had failed to conduct CDD and EDD. That's the reason why he got this penalty. And without registration, there will be suspension of trade license as well. Can you put the next slide? Now, we had 30 days time to complete this entire issue, and we submitted grievances to the ministry. So the first and foremost step that we had taken is to register for GoAML. Simultaneously, while it would take 2 to 3 days to complete the entire process, we ensured that we took a meeting with the client. We analyzed the business scenario of that particular client and understood the risk factors that is being associated with him, and we started preparing the policy framework. Now, in the policy framework, we had a detailed information where it included the CDD, EDD procedures, then which software we had taken for the client, do you monitor the transactions, how do you onboard a PEP, then STR reporting, how do you keep records of all these. All this was mentioned in the policy framework. Meanwhile, we also took an employee training. That is, we ensured that the client knows how to onboard a client in their firm, identify the red flags in a client, what actions are to be taken on such situations. And fifth was the independent audit function. So technically, we had just onboarded the client and we had set up the entire thing. So we ensured that we mentioned, or we had a plan for independent audit function. So the plan will take place after 1 year of completion with us. There will be an independent audit that will take place, and we'll understand what are the gaps in that particular AML function. So all this was submitted as a remedial action plan to the Ministry of Economy along with the grievances. So there is a form which we have to fill and submit. And we had ensured that we had engaged with the regulator in submitting all this, took up a meeting with them to understand better. So that is how we had taken up this client work. Can we go to the next slide, please? So the dice is open for any of your questions. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Krishna, for such powerful insights. We do have a couple of questions. I'll start with the first one. So Alexander is asking, if for some reason the license is revoked, can it be obtained back?
Yes, it can be. So first we have to ensure that we comply with the regulations. For example, if it is due to non-registration, we have to get registered first. So we have to initially have a discussion with the Ministry of Economy, what went wrong, understand the problems, and we have to get that sorted. So within 30 working days, we'll be able to get it back if we have everything in place.
Thank you, Krishna. Before we jump on to the next question, I just wanted to tell everyone that we have a scanner over here in front of your screens. Please scan it. This is only limited to our webinar attendees today. You can scan this and you can get your free second opinion. So feel free to scan this. Second question we have is, in general, in case a person with criminal activity is in our enterprise as a client, what are the right steps generally to get him out as a client?
So the first and foremost is to report with respect to this client. So if it is a complete match, then we have to submit a report in FIU, that is GoAML portal, through GoAML portal, and we have to offboard the client immediately. And we have to ensure that we have to stop transaction with that particular client immediately. So the reporting has to be done immediately. We have to collect all the necessary documents with respect to the client, and there'll be a detailed reporting that will be done on the platform.
Thank you, Krishna. Next we have is from John. Are cash transactions still okay? And is there any limit we should definitely not cross?
So there is a cash limit. Any cash transactions which is equivalent to 55,000 or above, it has to be reported.
Thank you, Krishna. Next question we have from Rakesh. It says, if a client's ownership structure is confusing, how do we actually verify the UBO?
So technically, any person who's owning more than 25% is termed as an UBO, the ultimate beneficial owner. So we have to understand the trade license or the MOA that the client has. So we have to go in detail, understand it. In case sometimes, there might be silent partners as well. So during a conversation with the client, we'll be able to crack up all these things.
Understood. Thank you, Krishna. I think questions are quite difficult and in depth. So I will again request everyone to scan this scanner, and then our team will help you in more depth and with more information they will have, and they can help you even better. I will go to the next question now. As a new business advisory company in the UAE, what are the things I need to know and identify as red flags in a client?
It is an advisory client, is it? Could you please specify the business activity?
Uh, so, Alam, if you could specify it, I can ask Krishna the direct question. Okay, so Alam is saying that it's a consultancy or e-com.
E-commerce. So is it related to CSP? Is it a corporate service provider? Because there are certain sectors only that needs to follow this AML. One, as I mentioned, it is the real estate firms. Then we have dealers in precious metals. Then we have corporate service providers, trust, then lawyers and legal professionals. So if you don't fall under this particular category, it is not required.
Okay, I will again suggest and advise our viewers, especially the ones who have questions, especially in some particular industry. Please scan the scanner, and then our team will give you a free second opinion in depth. I'll go to the next question now. The next question is, for the STD, what is the renewal cycle?
STD or ST, I mean, could you please?
Sure. For the SDD, SDD, what is the renewal
Let me
cycle?
jump. Is it the simplified due diligence are you talking about? SDD.
Preeti has asked this question to us, simplified due diligence.
Okay, so the renewal or okay, so simplified due diligence is just a method. It is not a ongoing thing that you need to that you have to understand. So technically, after a due diligence on one particular client, if they fall under the low risk category, then every 2 years you have to collect a KYC from them. And if it is like a medium risk client, then every 1 year. And for high risk clients, every 6 months. That is as per the regulations and the guidelines that is set by the Ministry of Economy. So simplified due diligence is just a method. There are different methods to be applied to each category.
Thank you, Krishna. Next we have is from Rahman. It says, what is EOSN subscription?
Okay, EOCN. It is Executive Office for Control and Non-Proliferation, wherein you have to subscribe for, the sanction list, terrorist list. So it's a mandatory subscription. So once in a while, you will get an email from the EOCN team that, a new person has been added into the sanction list or a new person has been added to the terrorist list. So you have to keep on following it and you have to download all these particular subscriptions. There is a particular link where you can download the Excel sheet to cross verify, but the manual checking is very difficult. So it is always easy to employ a software instead of manual checking. But subscription is mandatory.
Thank you, Krishna. Next question we have is there any tool or platform that makes AML work easier, like screenings, filings, and all of that?
So yeah, so there are multiple tools to do screening. However, for reporting purposes, we have to use the government platform itself. But for screening, there are multiple tools in the market.
We have a lot of follow-up questions, and I will again request everyone to scan this scanner and get an absolutely free second opinion from our team. We can go to the next question, and after that, we will be ending the webinar. The last question is, what do we do if a customer simply refuses to give their AML documents?
Okay, so we have to understand why the customer is refusing. If there are certain intention that the client is trying to, hide something, then it can be treated as a suspicious activity. So then we will have to report that particular customer on the FIU platform. So we have to understand, what is the intention behind that particular transaction if it is like going to take place and still the client is refusing. For example, a person can come to purchase a property, but he doesn't want to reveal his true identity. And he has informed that, I'm not purchasing it for me. It can be for someone else. And he doesn't want to provide the KYC details. In that scenario, we will have to report it because that is a suspicious activity. Now we have to understand the client first.
Yes, thank you, Krishna. I think lots of questions coming in, but I will again request everyone to scan this. As Krishna said, that we need to know the clients in detail. We need to have a lot of information. So for that, I think you are just a scan away. Your answers are just a scan away. Over to you, Shafeekh, before we close the webinar. Thank you all for joining.
Thank you everyone for joining the call. If you have any doubts on AML, our team is happy to help always. Give a free consultation. You can either scan here or come to our website, financials.com. You can book a meeting with our experts. We'll be able to help you out. Everyone, thank you.